Shi Young was a 15-year-old Chinese boy who decided to move to the United States because he wanted a better life for his family, but found out it was not easy in America as an immigrant. Shi had four younger siblings, two brothers and two sisters. His dad passed away, so he felt responsible for his family. They were not living well. They lived in a horrible place. All six of them lived in one room and barely had enough to eat. Shi's plan was to go to America, get a lot of money, and either bring his family to him and his money or take his money back to China. Shi's trip to the United States was very difficult. He had little money, so had to pay $30 to go to ship as a third-class passenger. He was in a steam-powered ship, so the trip was only a little longer than a week. Being a third-class passenger, he and the rest of them were referred as steerage passengers. The name came from the part of the ship where they were kept and which provided the cheapest possible accommodations. So he and all the other third-class passengers had a rough trip. The transatlantic shipping companies had not yet learned to provide efficient basic services, such as food, so he and other passengers usually ate nothing but soup or stew, and sometimes bread, biscuits, or potatoes. Shi was not enjoying the trip at all, so he wanted to get to the United States already. Once the ship arrived to the U.S., Shi was relieved to be back on land. He arrived in Angel Island. Since he was a third-class passenger, he had to wait for screening. He had to wait about 3 to 5 hours in line to undergo inspections. As soon as Shi was free to do whatever he wanted, he started by looking for a job, since that was the reason he came to the U.S. in the first place. He began working in a factory because it was too hard to find a job anywhere else, since he knew little English. He had horrible working conditions with a lot of hours and very little pay. Those reasons made him decide that he wanted a different job, so he decided to look for a job in the railroads. He didn't know about the horrible conditions that were coming his way. He ended up in Sacramento because that is where the Central Pacific Railroad was. He soon started to see that he was working with conditions that were worse than before, and from sunrise to sunset, 6 days a week, with a wage from $27 to $30 a month. He found out it was very dangerous. After his 12-hour shifts, he and the other workers would get together to gamble and smoke opium. He only gets around 2 hours of rest for 6 days and 1 day off. Shi is now struggling to get any money for his family, but he is still trying as hard as he can. He is starting to see that it is not easy to be successful in America. He is thinking of returning to China because it is so much work in America with little reward.